and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnicky, and as always, I'm here with Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart.
I'm Jess Perkins.
I'm Matt Stewart, and just thinking about being here with you two, feeling so good every time Dave goes, welcome or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget what he says, but I love it, that iconic thing he says at the start. I just think, how good is it to be alive?
Yeah.
That's what my brain says.
Yeah.
I don't always say it out loud, but I always think it. I feel so good to be alive. I'm asking it rhetorically. It is great to be alive.
Wow. I have nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Fantastic.
Hey, Dave.
Other than I wish I was never born.
Oh.
But apart from that,
Nothing.
Well, I mean, what a great mindset to be in to explain this show.
Thank you. So hello, it's Jess again. And
we will say that at the start of every time we speak.
Yeah.
Dave here, by the way, should have said that.
Sorry, I'm going to put your mother on. Jess?
I'm your mother. Have you been eating vegetables? Mum stuff.
Yeah, have you been eating vegetables?
Definitely not.
Anyway, how this show works is one of the three of us goes away, researches a topic, usually suggested to us by our wonderful listeners. They learn all about it, they absorb it, they bathe in it, and they come back, they tell the other two about it, who never interrupt, and who are very polite and kind to one another. And we always get onto the topic with a question. Now, Matt, it is your turn to do a report. What is your motherfucking question?
Whoa.
My question is, who am I?
Oh, I love a who am I?
Ooh.
I was born in New York City in the year 1950.
Okay, 1950, New York City. Okay, yes. Donald Duck.
I have
74.
sold
Oh.
over 30 million records worldwide.
Ooh.
Okay, musician, 74. Okay, yes.
My birth name, and you can buzz in at any time. My
Yep.
birth name is Hugh Gregg III.
That was my buzz.
Yes?
That's a terrible buzz.
Sorry.
It was unpleasant to listen to, is
Well,
what I
it was
mean.
even more unpleasant to do.
I can imagine. Your throat must feel
Yeah,
awful.
God.
But yeah, go on, answer,
Sorry,
I
where
guess.
was I?
Oh, God.
Hugh Gregg III. I think that might be a man known as Huey Lewis.
Correct.
Oh.
Which I know Matt has been very keen to report on for a long time, and I am so happy that day has finally come.
Free choice came up. I was actually, after a show during the comedy festival, talking to one of our great Patreons, Sophie Waldron, and I was throwing out some facts about, I don't know why it came up, maybe the bar app played a song, and I'm throwing out some facts about it. I'm like, I really would have loved to have done an episode on it, but I just don't think anyone gives a shit. And she's like, no, from what you're saying, that's what an interesting life. I think it'd be a great episode. So I
Okay.
said, all right, Soph.
So a lot riding on Soph's shoulders right now.
That's right, Sophie.
And she keeps breaking those
Yes, I was
arms.
gonna say.
So,
Yeah, we'll quickly explain that.
oh, yeah, well, she was in the UK last year. She had a fall and broke her arm. And then just last week, at the time of recording, was hit by a car. She said, I made getting hit by a car sound really fun. She thought she'd give it a go. She got hit by a car, had the exact same break on the other arm. First arm, not fully healed. Second arm, now broken.
That's a bad run.
Yeah. So I just want to go on the record and say getting hit by a car is not fun. And I'm sorry I've made it sound really exciting.
Oh, do you think people are trying to emulate you, their hero?
Well, that's why I'm going on the record now because I don't want to be sued again. I don't have the money to be sued again.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you
That'll
haven't-
ruin me
You have
again.
not recovered from the last time.
Yeah.
I haven't recovered from last time.
You're still bankrupt, is that right?
Yes.
You have not recovered.
But I have a PayPal if anything. No.
Well, I have not recovered my investment
on me.
in you.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear that. But are you up for? Will it cheer you up for me to tell you this story?
Well, I hope so. You tell me.
Well, in parts, there are some sad parts now that I think about it.
No.
How about we skip those?
Let me
bits?
know when there's a sad part and I'll cover my ears and go la 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 la.
I mean, there's a few, like, he's had some ups and downs. There's a couple of mentions of suicide, but I won't be dwelling on them.
Okay.
Little heads up there.
Yep, nice little warning there.
So, yeah, I think, Jess,
Yep.
me saying a bit of a pick-me-up, most of it. Okay, here we go.
He's covered himself legally.
So,
Which you did not.
I did not. That's exactly what I did wrong.
Huey Lewis was born in 1950 as Hugh Anthony Gregg III.
Craig.
And it's not like
Craig.
me saying American Craig.
Oh.
It's spelled Cregg. It is.
Craig.
Do they pronounce that Craig?
Maybe they pronounce that Craig, actually.
Hugh Gregg III.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So, yeah, his parents, you can probably guess his dad's name, Hugh Anthony Gregg Jr., and his mother, Maria Magdalena Baczynski. And the young family, when he was just 4 years of age, moved to Marin County in California. He had a very bohemian upbringing, which is really interesting because he's sort of in the 80s. He was like big pop star. During the middle of the 80s, he was like as big as it got. You know, pretty seen as being kind of straight and stuff like that. But
Jesus Christ.
His upbringing was quite the opposite of that. Very bohemian. His dad was studying medicine and went on to become a radiologist, but he postponed that for a while to pursue life as a jazz drummer and piano player.
We're doing both at once?
Yeah, I think so. It was awful at both, but
but with jazz, it's hard to know.
Titty. It was a different time, wasn't it?
Bling bling ting ting bling ting ting bling ting.
Wow.
I love it when you jazz.
Yep, me too. According to Huey, after his dad graduated from Duke as a pre-med, he said, "I'm going to be a professional drummer." And he went to New York and played for a couple of years. But he became very disenchanted. He was bohemian, but he always believed in discipline. And he saw all of his heroes stoned, so he went back to medical school. He was like, he didn't love the drug scene of it all. It's so interesting. I love jazz. I love the bohemian lifestyle, but not those drugs.
Not those pesky
That's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it for the...
Plink, plonk, plink. You got to do the whole thing.
Blink, plonk, ting, tong, bling, a bling, ting, ta, tong.
It's beautiful.
Huey's mum, on the other hand, was more into the drugs, and she was an artist, a bit of a hippie, born in Poland, but she had a really, rough time early. If you do the math, her and her parents fled Poland during the Second World War.
Right.
According to a 1984 article in Rolling Stone written by Christopher Connolly, his mother, Magda, had wound her way through Portugal and Brazil as World War II raged. And Lewis later said, she often says that during World War II, the sound of freedom to her was jazz, American jazz. When there was American jazz around, there were GIs around, and you knew you were safe.
Oh, wow.
Things were incredibly hard for his grandparents when they arrived in America, though. According to Huey, when my grandparents came to America, they had a real tough time. They were quite wealthy in Poland, but in America, they were discriminated against and not very rich. They committed suicide together.
Oh.
And in that moment, my mum became a bohemian. She was probably, if not the first hippie in San Francisco, one of the very first hippies. She took LSD and hung out with Timothy Leary, Ken Kesey, and Allen Ginsberg. All these people in the blossoming beatnik hippie scene in Sausalito. Do any of those names ring a bell? I know Allen Ginsberg, but Ken...
Yeah, they're from that beat generation.
Yes. So she was right at the center of this.
Yeah, wow.
And because of that, so was young Huey. Like I'll mention it a few times, but he'd, at different times during his childhood, he'd like wake up in the middle of the night and go, so the people who walk into the kitchen and Allen Ginsberg sitting there.
It's just like eating cereal from the box.
Yeah.
Hello. And then was it his dad's walking around being like, these hippies keep taking drugs. Fuck off. Get a job.
Yeah. So all like beatnik poets, jazz musicians, all that sort of stuff would be hanging out at his house all hours of the night. But he was naturally gifted academically. It's sort of like sometimes, you rebel against your parents in different ways. And he was just like nailing school. His mum is like on LSD and stuff. And he's like just
really studious.
Yeah, smashing it. He skipped second grade because he was, ahead of everyone else. And he later said that was due to him excelling in the sandbox. Bit of fun. Second grade, I was very early in school. Oh, skip second grade, must be pretty good in the sandbox.
When I was in grade 1, I thought I should probably skip a grade. I'd seen it on The Simpsons. I knew it was possible. And I said, Mum, I think I should skip a grade. And she said, why? And I said, I've read all the books in the class. And that's not even true. I hadn't read all of them. I'd purposely skipped some that I thought were a bit boring or below me.
Well, sounds like you're good at skipping.
Yeah, I should have skipped.
Yeah, skip books, skip class.
Yeah.
When I was in prep, which is the first grade of primary school here in Victoria, I remember someone got a question right and the teacher jokingly said, good work, straight to grade 6. And they actually walked out of the room and started walking up the corridor and the teacher had to be like, oh, no, just a joke. Just, you're not actually going to grade 6.
Oh, my God.
And they were in grade prep?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's really cute and also so dumb.
It's like it proved that they shouldn't be doing that.
actually the test.
a paradox.
The one kid who didn't go up there actually was forced to go to grade 6.
Yeah.
When he was about 12, maybe 13, his parents got divorced. You'd probably see that coming.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
They seemed so aligned.
Yeah, exactly. One of them loved drugs, the other one hated drugs.
Yeah.
The original odd couple.
Yeah, I thought if they can't make it work, what hope do the rest of us have?
Exactly.
This is shocking to me. I need a moment.
It sounds
Okay,
like...
don't give me a moment then.
We'll
Moving
give you a
on.
moment in post.
Oh, yeah, great. Thank you. AJ, if you could edit in a moment. Thank you.
So, yeah. It seems like I think his mum sort of got custody for the most part, which makes sense again. Give it to the drug mum,
Yeah,
not the sober
doctor.
dad.
Not the sober doctor.
Not Hugh Gregg II.
What kind of parent could that be?
And his dad was keen for him to go to this conservative prep school in New Jersey, which seems like a weird thing for a bohemian dad to want him to do, but it was just mainly to get him away from the drug scene. He didn't think that was good for him. This resulted...
His dad. Such a wet blanket.
The mum and dad went to court over it.
Oh.
And the mum's like, no, I want him to stay here in the drug house. The dad's like, no, I want him to go over there away from the drugs.
And it was a bit of a stalemate until the judge asked Huey what he would want to do. And he felt awful about it because he's like, oh, man, it was pretty traumatic to have to choose, basically, to side with one parent or the other. But in the end, he went with the prep school. Apparently, he got sucked in by this great glossy brochure, made it look so much fun. But when he got there, he didn't like it so much.
Oh.
Hated it. It wasn't quite the picture postcard he was expecting. But while there, he did continue to enjoy music. Apparently, he'd hop on trains to Philadelphia and saw shows by blues legends like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. And academically, he was earning honor roll grades, especially math as they say over there. And he was also an all-state baseball player. He was a pitcher. So just like kind of high achieving in whatever he did.
Yeah.
Due to him skipping ahead back in grade 2, he graduated high school at the age of 16, and his grades, including a perfect 800 on his math SAT, meant he was accepted into Cornell University in New York to study electrical engineering.
Wow.
At 16.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Real Doogie Howser over here.
Yeah.
Doogie Howser actually based on him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's true.
They changed it
Huey to
from
Doogie.
Huey to Doogie and electrical engineering to MD.
That's good stuff.
They cut out all the music stuff.
Yeah.
People aren't going to believe
and the
this.
baseball, and they're like, people are going to be like, a bit much.
Yeah, come
make
on.
it believable.
And the Bohemian parents, no.
No, we'll cut all that out.
But apart from that, is exactly alike.
That's crazy.
He planned to focus on baseball over the summer before heading off to college, but his dad instead convinced him to hitchhike around Europe instead. His dad was like, this is the last thing we're going to make you do. You're 16. You've graduated. As far as I'm concerned, you're a man now.
What?
But
Not in the eyes of the law.
But he's like...
You're a child.
And his dad's like, look, I feel like a bit of a nerd for sending you to that prep school.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get some character back into you. You have to hitchchk now, okay?
Yeah.
You got
Europe.
you got-
Not down the road. Europe.
You got perfect on your SATs, and to be honest, that really made me feel sick.
I think he was like, pretty wise, and that is much more common wisdom now. This is in the 60s.
Yeah.
But gap years weren't really a thing back then. But he was like, no one knows really what they want to do yet, or it's unlikely. Maybe you'll find yourself over there. Just bum around for a year and just take your time, basically.
He's so
Wow.
young. 16's so
Yeah,
young.
that's too young.
Mm.
I was so dumb at 16. I'm pretty dumb now. But like, I reckon I can get on a plane and go to a different country by myself now and I'll be okay. At 16, no.
You'd be freaking out.
Absolutely. Probably at 20 I still was, actually.
Yeah, so he seems very all over the shop. Going from go to this conservative prep school to go bum around for a year in Europe as a 16-year-old. But his mum apparently said this was the first good idea his dad had ever had. So she liked it. She was like, yeah, it's a great idea. Apparently she gave him a Bob Dylan record and said, apparently the poets are really loving this guy. I should check it out. After the breakup, his mum also started seeing a beat poet named Lou Welch. I don't know, does that name ring a bell?
Yeah.
And according to Matthew Wills, writing for JSTOR, he was a hard-drinking beat poet and an inspiration for one of Jack Kerouac's characters in Big Sur. He also helped bring Huey up and became his stepfather. So sort of in holidays from prep school, he'd go back for the summer. So it goes from like blazers and ties and stuff during school term, and then full hippie lifestyle.
Wow.
LSD in the middle of the, well, not him, but, people around him.
How interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think his mum, there was a really good episode of WTF that came out back in 2013. And it's just, I've listened to that a few times while putting this report together. And I just love hearing him talk. He's real fun. He just seems like a super nice guy.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, he was sort of like, I'd be wearing the blazer and you get home, Mum would be like, take that blazer off. We're going to see some music or whatever.
Wow. It's kind of a really interesting way to like raise a pretty well-rounded person. It's like put him in this really conservative school, but then also like loosen up a little. It's interesting.
It is.
It could be terrible, but it sounds like maybe it's working okay for him.
That's right. Apparently, his mum also had a boarder at the time, a guy called Billy Roberts, who was a folk singer-songwriter, and his claim to fame is that he wrote the song Hey Joe, which became a huge hit for Jimi Hendrix.
Oh.
So that was just, he was just boarding at her house. He wrote it during the 60s. And he played a lot of harmonicas.
At once. One in his butt.
Up and down, up and down.
So he just had heaps in his room, and he gave a few of his old ones to Huey, and he took a few of them on the trip with him as he went hitchhiking.
Cool.
And then in 1967, he left home in Marin County, California, and hitchhiked his way across America with the aim of flying to Europe from Boston for some reason.
It's closer.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll drive as far as, go hitch as far as I can and then go from Boston. But yeah, do you guys know Hey Joe? No.
The song Hey Joe, no. Hey Joe, don't make it bad. Is that right?
That one.
No, that's not the one, but that's all right. I thought it was more impressive than you both gave it. But
we're very young.
Wait, Jimi Hendrix that's very cool.
Yeah.
Cool person to...
It's one of Jimi Hendrix's really big ones. His were all big songs are all covers, like All Along the Watchtowers, a Bob Dylan song. But yeah, that's one of the big ones, like an all-time great rock song.
How's it go?
Hey Joe, no down here no more. Okay, none of that sounded right, but
Does that sound like Led Zeppelin at the end?
yeah, it sounded like Black Dog didn't it or something.
Whole Lot of Love.
Whole Lot of Love. Sorry, God damn it.
God damn it. That's going to keep
And this
you
guy
up at
wrote
night.
Whole Lot of Love? God.
All right, we're pausing for a second so these can hear this. AJ, sorry.
Rude.
Dear listeners, just give us 1 second. We're just going to play.
And would it be in his top 5 Spotify songs? I feel
Yeah,
like I would
it'd be
know, like, Purple Haze, Foxy Lady, All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah, it's in amongst those.
Really?
It's had.
Okay, it's in the top 5. You're right. Voodoo Child, good one.
It is the third most played. It's had nearly 300 million plays.
Wow.
But I guess
We're going to have to know it.
Okay, let me say that again. So we've just I've just played Hey Joe to Dave and Jess, and now I'm going to tell them a quick fact again. So at the time, his mum had a boarder named Billy Roberts. He was a folk singer-songwriter who wrote the song Hey Joe.
Oh my God.
the Jimi Hendrix one?
Yes, that's right.
No freaking way.
I love that song.
Man, you're lying. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
It's just, to me, it's just a wild upbringing.
Totally.
There's like Allen Ginsberg, Hey Joe writer.
Yep.
I wouldn't have known Billy Roberts by name, but the guy who wrote Hey Joe.
Yeah.
Just all these people are floating through his sphere.
It's very cinematic, isn't it? Like you can
it
imagine.
feels like Forrest Gump.
Totally does, yes.
Like all these historical figures are just floating through his life.
Yeah.
And that happens, that continues to happen to some extent. So off he goes. He hitchhikes across America. Chunk of the trip he rode with a guy who'd stolen a car, and him and a few other hitchhikers each night in the middle of the night would steal petrol by siphoning it, so they could continue their trip. He talks about it like, there were times where they're driving off and there's a guy coming out after him with a shotgun and stuff like that, like pretty hectic sort of visual.
A fun montage, though, in the movie
Yeah,
And
version.
they're just sort of
Exactly.
gargling petrol. Sorry.
His life would make such a good film. He couldn't afford a plane ticket, something I should have mentioned probably. So he had to figure out another way of boarding a plane.
So his parents said, go hitchhike around Europe, but gave him no help in getting to Europe.
I think they gave him, or his dad gave him a few $100, but he's like, I need this. I'm trying to make this stretch out for a year or something.
Wow.
I need to hold on to it as long
Yeah.
as I can and only spend it when I have to spend
You
it.
can't get on a plane. Please tell me he started siphoning plane fuel.
He built his own plane.
He's doing
an
some sort of
engineer.
engineering,
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
he?
He can build a plane and fly it.
Yeah.
So it's a good guess, but no. Luckily, one of the guys who picked him up along his journey across America filled him in on this scam, how to scam his way onto a flight. And it's sort of complex, but also sort of really simple. Basically, you get there really early. I think you kind of find just a ticket. Obviously, it's not all computerized and stuff back then.
Yeah.
And then you change the details just with a pen. And the key was picking a really undesirable seat, middle row over a wing or wherever the ones that would sell last. And he's like, planes would rarely be fully sold out. They're the last ones to go. So you pick one of them. And then the other trick was you'd then sit. So you'd say, I'm sitting in row 27B, but then you'd sit in, row 34B.
Okay. Yep.
And that gives you 2 shots at it.
Right.
If someone goes, hey, I'm meant to be sitting there, and they come over and say, can I check your ticket? Go, oh, sorry, I'm meant to be over there. So you it doubles your chances of getting away with
That's
it.
good.
And he got away with it.
Wow.
That's so funny. He flew. It worked, and he flew to Europe. Once he got there, he hitchhiked down through France and Spain to Marrakesh in Morocco. He bumped into a South African guy and who'd hitchhiked his own way up through Africa. And they decided they were going to go to Marrakesh for 2 days, but ended up staying there for months, just smoking hash and busking in the square with his harmonica. And he earned, I forgot what the currency was, but basically $4 a day. $1 would pay for his accommodation, $1 for food, and he was making a small profit every day just from busking on the harmonica.
Wow.
Love it.
And this is just an instrument he's been teaching himself since, not that long ago.
Yeah.
After a few months, hair's grown out, just they're looking like hippies and whatnot. And after a few months, they decide to hitchhike back north into Europe. So they're in Marrakesh in the north of Africa. They head back into Europe. But to do this, they have to go back through Spain. And apparently it was quite hard for hippie types to hitchhike through Spain. At the time, I don't think I realised this, but Spain was under the dictatorship of a guy called Francisco Franco. Is that?
Name
Yeah,
rings
in
a bell,
charge
yeah.
For a few decades.
Ruled for it with an iron fist for a long time.
Yeah.
right.
So people, apparently it was just a lot tenser there. The vibe was very different. People weren't necessarily going to just pick up some random
Yeah.
hitchhiker. And he said a lot of the people who did pick them up would be from other parts of Europe, like German tourists and stuff. And he'd just be playing harmonica all day, waiting, bit by bit, moving across.
I think when you'd be playing harmonica all day in the back of the car,
Yeah.
I'd be like, shut the fuck
I'd be
up.
pulling
Sorry,
back
this is
over.
as far as I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going to live here now.
I'm actually driving to the ocean.
Yeah. Oh, that might explain this next thing. Because, one of the stories he tells is he got picked up by an old Dutchman. I think he was maybe in his 70s, a guy called Jimmy Van or something. And he cruised up in this old Chevrolet, 1920s, 1930s Chevrolet, which apparently had been featured in the classic film Casablanca. There's another sort of Forrest Gump moment. This one of the greatest films of all time. It's meant to be, right?
Yeah.
Never seen it. It looks boring. But
Yeah.
is that
It's long and
my
boring.
God damn, I don't give a damn, ma'am?
My God damn, I don't give a damn, man.
Is that movie?
Let's play it again, Sam.
Oh, right. What's the one I'm thinking of where they say
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind? Yeah.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Right. Play it again, Sam. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Ma'am.
Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am.
There it is. God, it's beautiful to watch his brain work.
And Rose or whatever. Rosebud. They're 3 classic movies that I have not been able to sit through. But I really should because
I
they're
don't
more
know
meant
what
to be.
Rosebud is.
Rosebud's the The one about that guy, the media, loosely based on that media guy, Orson Welles or something.
No, Orson Welles directed it.
Yes.
And wrote it
That's
to
what
start
I mean.
it.
Yeah. There were fragments of thoughts.
Yeah, right. But it's Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
Rosebud is also it's a cheat in The Sims. It's a money cheat.
Ah.
Do you think that's a little
cool.
nod?
Probably.
Yeah.
The Sims is very, very high art.
What are some of the other? Because that rings a bell. Like it feels like in the back of my brain, I'm thinking of that.
You can also type in Kaching, Rosebud. Oh, there's another one. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So anyway,
I'm just playing The Sims a lot at the moment.
so all of a sudden he's driving through the dictatorship of Spain
Yeah.
in the Casablanca
in
car.
a Casablanca classic Chevy. But this guy, this old fella, this old Dutch fella, said he was driving all the way to Holland. So he's like, oh, fantastic. You can take us for, ages. Only problem was old Jimmy was a bit of a loose unit and had a tradition of stopping at every bar they passed, and he'd have a shot at every bar they went. And his passengers would have a shot as well. So
Every bar.
Everyone's just shit-faced.
yeah, including the driver,
Yeah.
which is not ideal,
No.
as it turns out.
No, but we're looking at it through a modern lens.
That's true, yeah.
Back then, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We're in a dictatorship.
Okay,
Guy's ruling with an
loosen
iron
up.
fish.
Yeah, back then,
Fish.
he's
ruling with an iron fish.
across the face. And what you got to remember is with cars back then, they didn't have seatbelts.
Yes.
The seatbelts that obviously kill you in an accident.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Now we've got these killer seatbelts.
Yeah.
It's
And
very
they-
dangerous.
They didn't
Very
crumple either, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No crumple zone because the car would just plow through whatever it drove into.
Yeah.
The car was stronger than everything.
Which is what it did soon, because he was off his chops and he ploughed through a fence and into a flooded field. But maybe it was a harmonica playing in the background. So they're all off their chops in this classic old car. Even at the time, it's a 30, 40-year-old car. And the water's just coming up through the floor. And they're like, oh, this isn't good. But they're all off their chops, and he's like, it's all pretty blurry, but he vaguely remembers the Dutchman getting out a fire extinguisher and spraying the engine, and it seemed to get it going again somehow. I should say I'm not a mechanical engineer or scientist.
Or a mechanic.
No, I am one of those.
Yes.
And then,
Or a firefighter.
yeah, I'm a firefighting mechanic, but I don't see how that would be relevant here. So they end up driving off again, but unfortunately when they got stopped at the Portuguese border, he realised his passport was missing. It had floated out of the car in that field.
Oh, no.
So he was out again, had to find his way to Seville to go to the American embassy to sort out a replacement.
Also, they were driving to Holland and they've somehow driven into Portugal. They're driving the wrong way.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Unless you're going up along the whole coast, I guess.
Yeah, I think the driver was drunk.
Yeah.
But it just seems funny to be like, we're going to the Netherlands. All right, we're going to go here.
I'm going the long way.
We'll head west.
Yeah, that is interesting. Why would they have done that?
I don't know, scenic route. Probably because you thought there'd be more bars along the coast.
Yeah.
You can drink along the way.
Yeah, because Seville is right, it's right down south. So, yeah, I think it checks out. But, yeah, why would he have been going through Portugal? Maybe it was just to get out of...
Yeah.
Maybe it's just, a better place to be at
Drive
that
along
time.
the coast because there's no dictator there. But does that mean he has to ditch his friends to go to... They keep going without him?
I believe so. So he heads to Seville, and, he doesn't have much cash on him. He just has enough. I think he's got $20 left, which will pay for his replacement passport.
$20.
He gets there and they've just closed. It's a Friday, so he's got to wait. He's got to get through the weekend till they open again on the Monday. So what does he do?
Gamble it.
Plays that harmonica.
Put
Pulls
it
it
all
out.
right.
That's what he should have done.
Should have done.
Yeah.
Plays that harmonica.
He just, hangs out playing the harmonica. And some locals just started loving it. And they go, do you want to play? I've got a concert on this week. Do you want to headline it? His first ever gig. Apparently it was in front of thousands of people. There was some decent local band there.
And they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
He's headlining?
According to Connolly, writing the Rolling Stone, he earned $150, which for him at the time was a heap of cash.
7 passports.
And yeah, it was organised with the help of some communist students he had befriended there in Seville. And he later said, I thought, we're rich. And the guy said, let's go out to dinner. Let's celebrate. So 35 of us went out. The bill came. It was $140. And the guy took the money out, paid the tab and said to me, here's your $10. And I said, socialism. I get it. Yeah, $10 is still pretty good for someone who's got not much cash.
He only had 20 on him.
Yeah.
Now he's got 30.
That's pretty good.
System works.
You've made $10.
Yeah.
In like a day. You know? You'd struggle to make $10 a day now.
And what a great feast that must have been.
Yeah.
You would have had,
With all your new
like
friends.
kings.
Yeah.
It's funny because he would have done the gig for free probably. So they could have said, we'll pay you $10 and it went fantastic. And
Yeah.
we get a feast. But then once you've got $150, you're like, the things I'm going to do with this money. Anyway, so he had a wild time over there.
That's so awesome.
Then just because his dad said he wanted us to pursue baseball, but his dad's like, nah.
Go backpack. Go hitchhiking.
Yeah.
Wild.
And then, there's a heap of other stories, but we'll head back to America with him where he enrolled at Cornell. This is apparently quite a prestigious school. And there, according to Connolly, he spent his time dodging classes and hanging out with the SDS crowd, which I think is, I looked it up, it's like some sort of Students for a Democratic Society.
I think Americans will laugh at you saying, which apparently is quite a good school. I think it would be like saying like Oxford. I hear it's quite a good.
I think
it's pretty good.
People hold it quite highly.
I think it might be in the top 500 universities.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Up there with Monash?
Yeah.
Which campus?
Peninsula.
Oh, no.
Is there one there?
No.
South Africa.
The South African Monash campus is fantastic.
Jayburg.
Yes.
In Jayburg.
They've got all the facilities.
Is that kind of right?
Yeah.
I was going to go do a semester in Jayburg, but then I found out that I'd already done the handful of subjects I would have been eligible to do. They didn't have as big of a curriculum there, and I'd already done them.
Think about how well you would have gone.
Yeah.
You've already written the assignments.
Oh, I know. That's right. Come on.
You should have gone.
You're saying that's why I can't do it? Surely that's the best reason why I should do it.
do it
Teach this
again.
class.
Yeah. Oh, I was so excited. That's the reason I got my passport years before I ever went out overseas.
One of my biggest regrets is not doing some sort of exchange during university, like a 6-month or 12-month thing, even just a few weeks. I wish I'd done something.
It was my problem was the go with the flow thing, which I've always kind of had, is good, and it led me to go, I'll go to. I didn't know that was an option. I'll do that and apply, and then but because I didn't plan it all, if I'd thought about it, I would have seen the subjects and avoided them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then maybe if I was really planned out, I never would have even thought to go. I don't know.
I looked at doing a semester in the UK, but because the school years are so different, I would have been there over like Christmas and New Year's, and it was towards the end of my uni, so I just wanted to be finished.
Yeah.
I'd already been at uni an extra year. I was like, I just want to be done. So then I thought maybe I'll go to New Zealand, and then that didn't feel like enough of a distance.
So I may as well stay.
I'll just stay and finish my degree.
Nothing's better than New Zealand. That's basically what you were saying. You were thinking.
No, I started to go like, it's quite expensive to live on campus. I'd have to get a job. At least I could get a job in New Zealand,
Yeah.
And then there were earthquakes, and Mum was like, "You're not going to New Zealand," and that's not a bad call, I think.
So I agree. So according to Connolly, he spent his time dodging classes and hanging out with this SDS crowd, Students for Democratic Society. He said he liked hanging out with them simply because at that point they were the only ones who smoked pot. I made fast friends with a lot of them. They're all in the movie business now, or running for public office, or in real estate. They're doing a lot of different things than Huey.
They're all in Hollywood, or 3 other jobs.
Yeah, one's an accountant,
all
one's a
of them.
teacher.
Yeah.
One's a full-time stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different things.
He started, rolling through a bunch of different bands, including one called Slippery Elm. He later said the band was okay, but I was horrible. And for the first time, he started getting into rock and roll. He said, I'd always go to the show and there'd be Otis Redding and the Kinks and the Flying Burrito Brothers, and I always dug Otis Redding. He really liked, and I think this was maybe like a bit of a rebellion against his parents, the hippie stuff and that sort of stuff. But he liked soul music and stuff like that. He said, we were weaned on radio that played Otis Redding, and then the Flying Burritos, and then Dylan and Led Zeppelin, Judy Collins, the Chambers Brothers, Muddy Waters, then Seals and Crofts, folk, country, soul. Got a bit of a mix. He said that's what the 60s were all about. They weren't about drugs. They were about, even though he did seem to make certain friends just because of the drugs anyway, contradicts himself a bit, as everyone does.
There were no drugs, not a single drug, not even a prescription.
Nah, couldn't get them if you
Medicine
weren't
didn't
invented yet.
exist.
You'd cut your toe and you'd die.
It was great.
Yeah.
Better
Oh,
times.
the good old days.
But he said it was a great time. As long as you're into it, it was cool. I don't care if it was chemistry or if it was politics or if it was about the ood. It didn't matter. If you're into it, it was, well, we'll listen, man. We're there for you. I thought those were wonderful days.
What's the
It's talking about
oud?
youth, I think. It's an old instrument, I think. It's like a lute sort of looking thing,
Sure.
I think. Don't at me. Later saying of his time at Cornell, I really just joined and played in bands for a year and a half. Then the work started to catch up with me. Basically, he says he did about 5 minutes of work over a few years there.
That's not very much.
No. He said, I called my old man. I said, Pops, I'm dropping out. I want to be a musician. And he went, well, you either know what you're doing or you don't. Good luck. And according to Huey, it looked like a very bad decision for a very long time.
His parents seem pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Like for that time especially, you'd think there'd be a lot of pressure to just finish and live a life a certain way.
You need at least a backup plan.
Yeah, for his dad to be like, all right, well, that might be a
decision
fuck
is yours.
up.
Yeah.
See ya.
You'll figure it out. Good luck.
Yeah, you can always go back to college.
Yes, you can.
Not me,
Dave,
but-
Doctor of Podcasting, still
Still could be.
could be.
Still could be one day.
So he ended up heading back west to the Bay Area in California and, got stuck into music. In 1971, he joined the band Clover as their harmonica player. Clover was already, a relatively successful band, had produced and released albums and stuff without breaking through or anything. They had a few band members who went on to other things, including future Doobie brother John McPhee.
Oh, his name isn't Doobie.
Yeah, what? How did he get into the Brothers? Was he one of the cousins?
How do you get into brothers?
Hey, can I be a brother? No.
No.
Thanks, though. Thanks for your interest.
I'm auditioning for brothers.
You're auditioning for Brothers?
Yeah. I've got one, but I thought
Are you going to read for the part of Brothers?
I could do with another one maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're not. Yeah, you're taking auditions.
I'm taking auditions. I'm holding auditions.
Okay. You smell and sing. What do you think of that?
That sucked.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't feel it.
I didn't believe it.
No.
You smell beautiful.
I know I do.
That's not very brotherly.
To be a true brother, you have to be able to pinpoint something that I'm not sure about,
Mm.
But I know I smell fantastic.
Yeah. You're confident in your own smell.
Yes, in my own stench.
Your musk.
My musk.
I'm just scanning you like one of those 80s futuristic robots,
yeah.
and I'm finding no chinks in your armor.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's right. No faults.
Yeah.
Damn it. Bulletproof. Anyway, so I think this is around the time he started going by Huey Lewis. There was a little patch in between Hugh Gregg III and Huey Lewis where he, I believe, went by Huey Louie. But yeah, apparently Huey
I like
Lewis was a bit of an homage to his missing stepdad, Lou Welch. Yes, that's right. I said missing.
Missing?
Oh,
Assumed dead.
drama.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was probably insensitive when somebody's assumed dead and I'm like, ooh, juicy. What's the goss? Spill.
I was talking before about Matthew Wills writing about him. We'll go back to him now. According to Wills, one day, 1971, the hard-drinking beat poet walked into the woods of Nevada County, northeast of San Francisco. He took a gun and left behind a suicide note. Nobody was ever found, which is why biographies end his dates with a question mark.
Wow.
So still never been found. Wills also writes, in Song of the Turkey Buzzard, arguably his best-known poem, Welch it's spelt with a C, so that's what I'm saying, Welch. I don't know if it's just Welsh still. Just letting you know why the poet heads out there are furious.
I think that's
one with the other. Welch. Welch urged his friends in this well-known poem of his to, quote, place my meat before the vultures in a sky burial. Sky burials, in which a person's remains are placed on a mountaintop to be eaten by carrion birds, are a Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and it's considered an act of compassion and kindness for the other creatures of the earth who, after all, need to eat too.
We covered that on Burial, Cremation or Other.
Did we?
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
that's one of your options.
Sky burial.
Sky burial.
I don't mind that.
Out in the open, and they just peck away at you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that now. Have I grown? It'd be interesting to go back.
Yeah.
8 years ago, was like, nah.
Ew.
Grace.
My body is a wonderland, but not for the birds. John Mayer, and that's it.
John Mayer just pecking at your body.
Leave
Yeah.
my body to John Mayer. John
On a
Mayer's like,
mountaintop.
no, thank you. I don't want that.
No, it's a no from me. John, you know you want it.
Please shoo away these birds. I'm only to be pecked at by John Mayer.
John Mayer, remember, after all, you need to eat too.
Okay?
This is an act of compassion,
you're a
John.
creature on
John,
this
come
earth.
back here. This is an act of compassion.
Let me compassion you, John.
John, you've left a bit of my body on your plate, John. Come back. No dessert until you're finished eating me. John. Okay, a bit weird. According to poetry scholar Rod Phillips, Welch produced, quote, a finely crafted and innovative body of work in poetry, and he also said that his collected poetry is, quote, a group of poems that are among the purest and most precise of all the beat creations. So he was, he's almost like his mysterious death has almost maybe overshadowed his work, but apparently his poetry was top notch. Hey, let's go for a quick break. We'll be back in a sec. So, according to encyclopedia.com, the manager of the British group Dr. Feelgood caught a Clover show at the Palomino Club and offered the group a recording contract in England. So they'd before he joined, they'd had a recording contract, recorded a few albums, didn't really take off. They were dropped by their label. Now Huey's harmonica player in the band. And yeah, gets this new record deal, but over in England. So they spent a few years there, sort of non-stop touring in the south of England. And they went on tours and supported some legendary bands, including Lynyrd Skynyrd, who you might have also talked about in that Burial, Cremation or other episode. You talked about The Day the Music Died. Did you talk about that as well?
I don't think I talked about that plane.
I'm just thinking of another musical plane tragedy. But anyway, yeah, this was the pre-Lynyrd Skynyrd losing most of their lineup in a plane crash. But yeah, he supported them and he said they were awesome. They also supported Irish rockers and fellow musical legends, Thin Lizzy, on some pretty long tours. And Huey actually features on their classic live album, Live and Dangerous, playing harmonica. And in the credits, he's billed as Bluesy Huey Lewis.
I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, it's so fun. So it's like, this is like known as one of the iconic live rock albums. And before Huey Lewis was Huey Lewis, really, that was where you could find him.
That's awesome. Did he ever try going by Huey Lewis?
Oh, jeez, that's got to be the final stage of evolution.
Yeah.
If he was a Pokemon, which I've just learned about on Primates recently, we did an episode about Pokemon, so I finally get what you kids are into.
Just learnt about Pokemon.
A little bit more. I know they evolve.
Yes.
I know that Mankey becomes Primeape.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that now maybe Hugh Gregg III becomes Huey Louie, who becomes Huey Lewis, who becomes Huey Lewis.
Huey Lewis, the ultimate form.
Huey Lewis.
Huey Lewis. So yeah, Busy Huey Lewis on the playing with Thin Lizzy. He also played harmonica on Thin Lizzy frontman Phil Lynnott's debut solo album.
Oh my God, Lynyrd Skynyrd.
What did I say? Oh, Lynyrd Skynyrd. No, I said Phil Lynott, right? Yes.
Lynyrd, but I just thought that you can combine.
Oh my God.
I'm doing that thing you do on podcasts where things sound alike.
Yeah.
Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Lynyrd Skynyrd cover band led by Phil Lynott.
Imagine that would be you could just do the hits of maybe, full household name, well-known hits. I'd say there's probably 3 or 4 by Lynyrd Skynyrd, maybe 5 or 6 by Thin Lizzy. Combine the two. That's a full set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could play that in any pub in the world and everyone will sing along to every word.
Yeah, Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Lynyrd Skynyrd. Should we stop the podcast and just quickly copyright that?
And we're back.
Yeah, Lewis really looked up to Lynyrd. He saw him as a mentor. He was asked in an interview recently if he could have one more conversation with anyone, it would be Phil Lynott.
Oh.
They were apparently working on a different record together, but it was never finished as Lynott died at just 36 years of age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a biopic. I haven't seen it, but there's a biopic about Phil Lynott. It came out a couple of years ago, I think. Anyway, Clover timed their arrival in the UK quite poorly. The way Huey Lewis talks about it.
His ultimate form.
Basically, they landed around the time punk was taken off, you know.
Right.
And he got punched in the face on the tarmac.
Yeah. But, you know, so like they're kind of hippie-ish, country-ish rock, you know, like just very uncool in a punk scene.
Yeah.
So just the timing was pretty poor. While he was there, though, he saw a few punk shows, including, if not the first, one of the first shows by The Clash. He was in the audience and he's like, it was wild. There was a lot of spit.
I remember a lot of spit.
And he's like,
where
didn't necessarily love the music, still like the music that I always liked, you know, soul and other things, but I love the vibe. I love how they were thumbing their nose at the establishment, the music, not following any of the rules.
Love the spit.
I loved the spit.
And it's kind of funny to think of him at a punk show going, yeah, I love this anti-establishment stuff. When you sort of flash forward 10 years and the band he makes it in, the news is like, you know, it couldn't be any more sort of corporate-y sounding, smooth,
Yes, but then you
polished pop for MTV.
But then you flash 10 years back and his background is so much more like out there than probably any of the people dressed with like
Yes,
punk hair and that
exactly,
whole
yeah.
thing. And they'll be like, you fucking square. And his reality is like, I didn't grow up with anything you grew up with.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's the absolute opposite.
It feels a bit like you taught me this about the Clash, Dave, that of the two main frontmen of the band.
Joe Strummer and Mick Jones, yeah.
And Joe Strummer was more like, I'm a punk. He wrote the more sort of rocky, punky songs, and Mick Jones wrote more the poppier, catchier songs. Yeah. But you were saying that Joe Strummer
came from a higher class family. More privilege. And Mick Jones actually came from a working class, sort of like, you know, struggle growing up. But Joe left all that to become a punk.
Yeah,
I think that's very funny. That, he's like the famous one for it.
He's there during punk really taking off, but it just didn't, you know, the timing's not great. Elvis Costello was maybe almost like a middle ground. It was closer to, you know, the punky side, but catchier version than probably, you know, Sex Pistols and stuff. Man, that's going to annoy people who know more about that scene. But you know what I'm vaguely saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, Elvis Costello liked Clover a bit and got them, or, you know, via a mutual connection. They ended up being his backing band on his debut album, My Aim Is True. Clover
became his band.
Were his band for his first album, you know, with Allison and those sort of songs on it.
So Hugh's played on some amazing albums there.
Well, the rest of the band played on that album.
Oh.
Elvis Costello said, get you to play harmonica on a few songs, maybe a bit of backing vocals and stuff. And but Huey in the end was absent from the sessions, later saying, I took a vacation. I could have sung a bit or played a bit of harmonica, but we've been on the road since 1970. We'd been on the road for like 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah, wow.
He's like, I'm done. Instead he went to Amsterdam. But it's like an iconic album.
Yeah, he was almost on that one too. That's amazing.
Encyclopedia writes, Clover cut several albums in Great Britain, but none sold well. Disappointed, the members came back to San Francisco and kind of just went in separate directions. So he's into his 30s now, and the break's never happened. And he's getting to the point, which, you know, in pop music, rock music, music business, you're running out of time, really.
What?
To really break it.
Dave's goal is to have a number one
Exactly.
song.
By the time I'm 40, I reckon.
Yeah.
Maybe
You've got
50.
time.
50?
Or...
No, 40. I can do it.
I can do it. You can do it.
I think you can, yeah.
I got my one-hit wonder in me.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean, get ready to be inspired.
Thank God, because at the moment, what you just said really has made me feel uninspired.
That spooked you.
Yeah. I'm worried that my big break won't happen.
So he was sort of looking for something to do. He's back hanging around, just bumming around and jamming in different bands and stuff. And he gets a few nights going at these local little clubs, including one called Uncle Charlie's. And they started this night up called Monday Night Live. And he'd sort of MC it. They'd have some comics on. There'd be the house band. They had a theme song, that sort of stuff. It was almost like a live Letterman show kind of vibe.
Right.
And he was sort of the host of it. And just musicians from a bunch of different backing bands would roll through, like band members from Sly Stone's band, members from Van Morrison's band. Even Van Morrison himself dropped by a few times to play in the shows, as did Ricky Lee Jones and, of course, members of the Doobie Brothers.
Brothers and not...
Do you remember the Doobie Brothers? Here's one of them. For some reason, they built up his own scene, really, and they ended up getting some free studio time for some reason. Someone was there going, oh, we've got some time in the studio, you want to use it? And they kind of worked up this gimmick song at these nights, which was a bit of a mashup. It was a disco version of the theme song from the movie Exodus, which they, of course, called Exodisco. And, so it was a bit of a laugh, but they ended up recording that in these free sessions, including they had the saxophonist Pee Wee Ellis, James Brown's saxophonist, played on the recording, like a legendary muso. And he later, record producer Jake Riviera, he played it for him, and he apparently said, "My God, that's amazing. That's fantastic. That's the most commercial thing I've ever heard. I hope I never hear it again."
Now get out of my office.
Get off my office. Phonogram put the record out, but it tanked, probably for the best. If not, I guess Huey Lewis would have been forever known as a novelty disco harmonica player. I don't know.
Interesting jumble of words you just said. Yeah.
Yeah, harmonica. I don't associate that with disco a lot.
No.
Yeah, maybe he was. Yeah, maybe he was just doing a bit of vocals on it. I listened to it briefly, but it sounded almost like an instrumental. But I probably should have sat through it. Maybe it was just a long intro. Look, I'll do nearly anything to research for this show, but I won't do that. No, it was pretty fun. I'll listen to that. Anyway, his band, this sort of band, started coalescing into a group, this Monday Night Live group. And they got a break when Nick Lowe and Jake Riviera turned some throwaway line Lewis said into a song, some real corny sort of thing. Like, apparently he heard him say, the best thing on you is me. Like, I can't remember what it was, but it was something real cheesy sort of play on words thing. And they recorded it as a song, and Riviera was like, oh, we got to pay you for it. We used your idea. And he was like, nah, you don't need to pay me for it. But apparently Riviera was insistent. And according to Connolly, Lewis eventually accepted a round-trip ticket to London to go over and play harmonica on Lowe's Labour of Lust and also Dave Edmunds' Repeat When Necessary. So he's playing on a bunch of other albums and whatnot. And at this point, the Monday Night Collective began calling themselves Huey Lewis and American Express.
Ooh.
A UK label named Chrysalis Records were keen on signing them, but said at the last minute, they're like, we need a new name. And they had to change their name overnight, basically. And that's when they became Huey Lewis and the News. Yes, that's right. This episode is about the band Huey Lewis and the News.
What? Oh, my God.
Bit of a reveal there. Sorry to hold that back.
Holy shit. That's a Jess Perkins level twist.
That's a JPT.
You tell me that Huey Lewis is Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis and the News?
Yes, that's right.
What in the hell?
What the fuck?
I wasn't prepared for that.
JPLT. Jess Perkins level twist. Talking of the early demos, Lewis is very self-deprecating, saying, you should hear these. I was an awful singer. Not that I'm a great singer now, but there was something about us. There was definitely an urgency there, a hungriness. It's like, it's so funny to be like, we weren't very good, but geez, we were urgent.
God, we were urgent.
We needed to get it.
Yeah.
Get that badness out of our system.
We've been described as an urgent podcast.
Oh, yeah. Just get it out.
Please make it stop. That sort of thing.
In 1980, I'm kind of going to skip over the News' success to some extent because, it's just them being successful. But in 1980, they released their self-titled album. It was recorded pretty quickly and charted very briefly, but it sank like a stone. Chrysalis gave them another shot, and they fought hard for creative control. They made it themselves, but they're kind of learning on the job a bit. And this, of course, added pressure. They knew they needed to have a hit. So they took on a song by Mutt Lange. Mutt Lange. Yeah, Mutt Lange, with an A at the end, which was called Do You Believe in Love? They'd worked with him through Clover, so they weren't that excited about it. Like, it didn't really work last time, but they thought it is a hit and they needed a hit. They were in their 30s now. The clock was ticking. So they ended up recording it and putting it out on their 1982 sophomore album, Picture This. And as a single, it became a top 10 hit. So it'd been a pretty long journey, but after plugging away for about 12 years in bands, Huey was an overnight success.
Wow.
Mutt is a bit of a recording industry legend. He worked with acts like AC/DC, Def Leppard, The Cars, Britney Spears, The Cause, Maroon 5, Lady Gaga. He produced AC/DC's Highway to Hell and Back in Black. So he's...
You also mentioned The Cause, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we understand the caliber
Yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
working with.
The Cause.
Yeah. That guy who applied to be the brother in that band, geez, he would have had to go through a lot of auditions.
Yeah.
So MTV was pretty young at the time, less than a year old, and they made a pretty goofy film clip, and that got a lot of play, which probably helped propel them a bit. According to Lewis, the label wanted to do this really serious video, so they hired an advertising guy who was a fashion guy who dressed the setup in pastel colors and dressed us up in matching pastels and a lot of makeup and shot the video all day long hard. 2 weeks later, we went to see the rough cut and everybody was there, the record company, us, and the video company, probably about 30 people. The director turned off the lights and plays the video, and my heart sank. It was just horrible. There was no direction. There was no reason for this guy to be singing off into the distance. This is the video where we're all in bed singing to the girl for some reason. That's a lot of weird. It's a weird clip, but I think it's sort of goofy fun.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
But he really doesn't like it. And he's like, oh, this is awful. And then it stops and everyone gives it a standing ovation. He's like, yeah, I guess no one knows what they're doing because this sucks. But if they're happy with this, we're going to make our own videos from now on. And they made a lot of real fun, goofy videos, you know.
Yeah, right.
There's that classic one where they're all buried up to their necks in the sand. That's funny.
That's
good.
fun.
That's great.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Imagine. You don't need to. You can watch it in this video.
Fun fact, Jess, pending. The woman in that first video, you know, the love interest, was William Shatner's daughter, Elizabeth Shatner.
It's not that interesting.
Okay. but it is very fun.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's the most fun thing I've ever heard, but it's not interesting.
According to encyclopedia.com, they broke through as headliners with the 1983 album Sports. Most of the tracks were written by Lewis or other band members. And it had so many hits. Apparently, Lewis, again, before this album, they're like, we were lucky to get through that last one, and we sold about 10 times the amount of the first one, which bombed, but it still isn't a big enough hit to sustain us in the industry. We need this album to be huge. We need these songs to get played on radio. So it's basically like, we're writing every song designed to be a hit song, which is like pretty wild idea. Like, you know what we should do? We should just write an album of hits.
Wow.
And they genuinely try to do
And they're
that.
the first people to ever try
Yeah.
that.
And like, it's what happened. You know, nearly like so many of the songs became top 10 hits.
Why doesn't everybody do that? Why are so many albums got a couple of tracks you just skip?
Yeah. Like when you're writing, you go, I'm just going to write a couple of album tracks. I don't want another
Yeah,
hit. I've got too many hits.
This one won't be played on radio, but that's all right.
I can't play them all live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be bothered.
But also, like, you know, it's basically going, none of these are really us necessarily what we want to do. These are just made for the broadest appeal possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were top 10 hits with Heart and Soul, I Want a New Drug, Heart of Rock and Roll, and If This Is It. And they won a Grammy Award for Heart of Rock and Roll.
Wow.
So it was just a huge smash hit record.
Anything is what, late 30s by now?
Yeah, mid-30s. Yeah, moving into his mid to late 30s.
Okay.
You've got time, my friend.
Good to know.
And
Because
then-
we're early to mid
Yeah. So I've got a couple of years left to come up with my number one hit, win my Grammy.
when you're in mid.
Yeah. Okay.
And then late, you can just sort of peter out.
Yeah. Coast.
Yeah, I'd say mid, probably late's overset. He's into his mid-30s. But he probably looked older.
Okay,
okay.
and you look younger.
Okay. So this could work out
This
well.
is looking good for you. And I look just right.
I mean, he also looked like super handsome older though. So,
Yeah, but I look super
you
handsome younger.
Yeah. So
Does
I don't
that-
know.
does
I
that
don't know
work?
if does that balance out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it still kind of works out in Dave's favour.
Yeah. Thank you.
Encyclopedia continues. The group's next album, 4, was greeted with high expectations. It also produced top 40 hits like Stuck With You and Hip to Be Square.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, he kind of regrets that he sang that song in the first person. It's funny knowing his backstory now because it's all about he initially had written it all about like he goes to work or what, I can't remember the lyrics, but you know, he's keeping a balanced diet. He does all this. He's hip to be square, but he ended up like in the end being like, nah, it's sort of funny. People get it.
I'll do it from my perspective.
I do this, I do that. But it became like, that was kind of the beginning of the end for them being mainstream popular. People, you know, were giving them shit a bit.
Ah.
You know, it's like, how uncool. They think it's cool to be square. That's not cool. So yeah, he talks about it sometimes. He's like, I kind of regret not keeping it in the third person. Around that same time, they contributed 2 songs to the film Back to the Future, previous topic, including the chart-topping Power of Love, which earned an Oscar nomination for Best Song of 1986.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
And he actually had an uncredited cameo in that, where he played like a dork, but he was like a Battle of the Bands judge, and his line was, Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, is shredding a version of a Huey Lewis song on guitar,
yeah.
and Huey goes, "Stop! It's just too damn loud." Bit of fun.
No, that's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Big fan of that. But yeah, skipping over the successful period, they're
Who
on
cares?
top of the world.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about all the good stuff.
But to help it illustrate how popular he was at the time, do you know what a Q score is? I hadn't really heard of this. It's a number measurement. Apparently, it used to be a big deal. It measures the familiarity and appeal of a brand or a celebrity or whatever.
Oh.
And in the mid-'80s at this time, apparently Coca-Cola went to him and offered him a bunch of money to do an ad and said, you currently have the highest Q score in the whole country. Like,
Wow.
higher than, I don't know, name someone.
The Queen.
Higher than her.
The most recognisable.
And likable as well.
Wow.
Familiarity and appeal. So, like, currently, I believe Tom Hanks, and has been for quite a while, is like the highest.
Shit.
Or one of the highest. If you know that kind of idea, everyone knows him. And pretty much everyone likes him.
And they're generally liked.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Tom Hanks is a good one.
So yeah, he turned back Coke and he says, I regret that. I should have just done it. He's like, we're making good money. I didn't want to sell out. I don't want to look like I'm selling out for the money. And he's like, but over the coming years, everyone did. So I wish I just went and took the money. He also was one of the solo singers in the smash hit charity single, We Are the World. Have you seen that doco that came out early this year?
No.
No, I haven't watched it.
I think it's on Netflix. I watch it. It's slow, but it's interesting. There's a lot of, footage from the time, which is pretty cool. But the lineup is wild. So not everyone got to sing a solo, but he got the late call up when Prince fell through.
Fell through a wall.
Fell through a wall, which is weird. Normally you fall through a floor, but
That's what I was trying to say when I said wall.
fell through a wall.
When Prince fell through a wall.
That's the kind of thing. He went flying somehow. Maybe you can fall through a wall.
Yeah, if you fall sideways.
Yeah, you can fall sideways.
Ugh.
Like off a balcony into a wall. And then through the wall.
Yeah.
How's this for a list of names who are all in the room with him also singing solos? Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, Paul Simon, Kenny Rogers, Tina Turner, Billy Joel, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Dionne Warwick, Willie Nelson, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, and Ray Charles.
That's amazing.
I don't know any of those names. I'm young.
Apparently, Willie Nelson asked him, he's like, we should play golf sometime. And Bob Dylan came up and said, you talking about golf? That's ridiculous. And Huey said, your last album was ridiculous.
Oh!
He said that to Bob Dylan.
God.
Bit of fun.
Sucked the fuck in, Bob Dylan.
If you do watch it, there's some just look for Bob Dylan's face. Or even if you don't watch it, look at clips of Bob Dylan in the chorus. Like they're all standing on the wall and he just looks so confused. It's really fun.
Why is he so confused?
He's like, everyone's singing da da da, and he's like, I'm singing that. Huh? He's just like, it looks like he's thinking, why am I here?
You can't put Bob Dylan in a chorus.
No, yeah, doesn't feel like you're playing to his strengths.
No, doesn't feel like he'd fit.
Anyway, and I say it sounded mean spirited, but he was obviously just mucking around with the legendary Bob Dylan. He's like, it's weird to be in the room with him.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
He said later. Quite recently, he said of the night, it was an amazing night. I knew that evening that this was the career event of my life. 40 years later, it still is.
Wow.
And he's just so nice. I really love listening to him talk in interviews.
And I believe there's a story you've shared before.
I've tried to,
tried to share.
He tells it a lot better than me, so just find him telling it. On that documentary, I think he
Oh, really? Because and what episode was that when we were talking about Live Aid?
I was confused between Live Aid and whatever this is, Where the World one
Where
was.
the world. And you did it like, I think Jess wasn't even there.
No, it was you, me, and Zamet from Sans Pants.
And Matt did this
At the Sans Pants Studios.
big build up to this story and then sort of forgot the
I
ending.
couldn't remember the end. It was all set up and no payoff, but I realized that the story is not that good. He just tells it with such charisma and he's so excited to tell it. And he's telling a first-hand account of this thing.
Yeah.
So that makes it great. Me retelling it, even if I nailed it, wouldn't be worth saying.
Yeah.
But I didn't even nail it.
You couldn't remember it.
No. Through the 80s, while he was continued to play harmonica on a bunch of different albums, really diverse stuff like Bruce Hornsby's, Things Will Never Be the Same, diddlin', diddlin',
Oh,
diddlin'.
yeah.
He's on that.
That's just the way it is.
Yes, that's on. He played on with Hank Williams Jr. I think it was he covered a Hank Williams Sr. song on Sports, the final track on Sports. And even previous Do Go On topic, Jimmy Barnes.
Oh,
he played
wow.
on Freight Train Heart, which is pretty fun.
That's pretty cool. Our Jimmy.
Our Jimmy, that's right. Sadly, in 1987, Huey suddenly lost all his hearing in his right ear. So he's like right at the peak of his fame, and he later told Rolling Stone, "I felt like I'd been out in a swimming pool and my ear was full. I couldn't shake it out or pop my ears. I went to all kinds of doctors and an EMT, and they finally said to me, 'Get used to it.' I said, 'Get used to it. I'm a musician. I need this.' But unfortunately, yeah.
That's interesting.
The doctor said it was unlikely it would ever return, but he was sort of hopeful. He said acts like Brian Wilson have a similar thing, can only hear out of one ear. And yeah, eventually he was diagnosed with Meniere's disease, which, according to Huey, is a syndrome based on symptoms. Like they don't know what's causing or anything.
Right.
If you've got fullness in your ear, it feels like your ear's full. You get vertigo, bad tinnitus, or tinnitus. I don't never know. I've got that, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But then they call it Meniere's disease, but they don't really know what it actually is, so they don't know how to treat it.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, this
You
sucks.
treat the symptoms, not the actual disease, because they don't know how to treat the disease.
And he's
Wow.
like, day to day, it can be all the way up to okay, but at the worst, it's debilitating, and
Wow.
he can't hear, and he just has to lie down. The vertigo's so bad and whatnot.
Yeah, vertigo's pretty full on.
Yeah, but Lewis adjusted to life with one ear, and he went about his life and career. Like I sort of said before, the follow-ups from Sports and 4 weren't as bigger hits, but the next 5 albums all charted in the US, never as sold as much. Back to the Future, like I mentioned, is probably the film you most associate with Huey's work, but maybe also American Psycho. Have either of you seen that? There's a classic scene in it where this is Paulie Poisson writing for Grunge. The film version of Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho came out in 2000, and like the book, it wasn't shy of showing Patrick Bateman, who played by Christian Bale, his love for Huey Lewis and the News. And he's in it. He's a murdering psycho, including From America.
Oh, okay.
And it included a scene where an unhinged Bateman delivers a speech about Lewis's music before dispatching with a professional rival played by Jared Leto with an axe.
I have seen that,
Yeah.
yes.
In part, the scene goes like this. "Do you like Huey Lewis and the News?" And he replies, "They're okay." And then Bateman goes, "Their early work is a little too new wave for my taste, but when Sports came out in 83, I think they really came into their own, commercially and artistically. The whole album has a clear, crisp sound and a new sheen of consummate professionalism that really gives the songs a big boost. He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but I think Huey has a far more bitter, cynical sense of humor." And then he's doing this speech while he's like putting down newspaper, he's putting on a raincoat, and his victim goes, "Is that a raincoat?" And Bateman goes, "Yes, it is." In 87, Huey released this. 4, their most accomplished album. I think they're undisputed masterpieces, hip to be square. A song so catchy most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should. Because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends, it's also a personal statement about the band itself. And then he raises the axe and kills him. Classic scene. Apparently the author, Bret Easton Ellis, since said he feels a bit of regret. He feels a bit bad about it. He's like, they weren't my favourite band. I was more of a Bruce Springsteen guy, but I didn't think they really deserved to be shat on like that. He said, "I like them more than the implied criticism that's in that text." But despite the book and the film taking the piss, Lewis is apparently quite happy to be associated with it and has even played the killer in a Funny or Die parody version of the scene.
Ah.
Yeah, the other movie associated with Huey is maybe Ghostbusters. As the story goes, both Lindsay Buckingham and Huey were approached to come up with the theme song for the movie, but they both declined. Lindsay Buckingham from
Fleetwood Mac,
previous topic. In the end, Ray Parker Jr. stepped up and wrote its smash hit theme. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
I would have told you that was Huey Lewis.
Well, there you go. Okay. That's with good reason, because it sounds like a Huey Lewis and the News song, and in particular sounds a lot like their song that came out a couple months before called I Want a New Drug. According to Ledger Note, the now defunct magazine Premiere wrote that the film's producers admitted in 2004 that they used the song I Want a New Drug as the temporary background music in certain scenes, including a clip they sent to Parker for inspiration. Parker says, I wasn't copying it at all, but it seems like either that's not true or he just, what do you call it, like absorbed it subconsciously.
Yeah.
So it's very unlikely to be a coincidence. Anyway, they ended up getting sued over it, and they settled out of court in a deal, but it put a gag clause on it, so they've never really talked about it. Apart from once, in 2001, according to Mental Floss, VH1's Behind the Music series had an interview with Huey where he said, the offensive part was not so much that Ray Parker Jr. had ripped off this song. It was kind of symbolic of an industry that wants something. They wanted our wave and they wanted to buy it. But we were like, it's not for sale. But in the end, I suppose they were right, because basically with the settlement, they did buy it. You know, they paid you to have it. They just, you know, it's like, what's that saying? Ask for forgiveness rather than permission or whatever. Mm-hmm. Another nailed cliche by me.
But yeah, that's true.
So he's, associated with these films musically. He's also done bits and pieces of acting over the years, including in Robert Altman's critically acclaimed film Shortcuts, and also the 2000 film Duets, in which his cover of Cruisin' with Gwyneth Paltrow became a number one hit.
That was him. Yeah, cool.
He also appeared in various TV shows. I didn't realize this, including Just Shoot Me, a few episodes of One Tree Hill, The King of Queens, and The Blacklist, which was only a few years ago.
They're all very different shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jumping to 2018, this is another little sad bit, well, quite a sad bit. He was playing, the band was still playing, still loving music. He was like, I'm kind of, he wasn't that upset about the band's popularity. He's just like, I just wanted to be in a band that can sustain a living, and that's what we do. We just like playing as a band.
And are the band members pretty consistent? Like
yeah,
they've been with him
there's
forever?
a couple of changeovers. A couple guys have died, and one got into some trouble with the cops, I think. I think the guy with, like, you see in all the clips and stuff, he's always just got a cigarette hanging out his mouth, even in, like, underwater scenes and stuff. Very funny stuff. Anyway,
he got in trouble with the cops.
I think
the
he
bad
might
boy.
have. I think the bad boy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, huge shock here.
Jeez, I hope they don't sue if that's not true. Allegedly.
So
Huey not Truey in the Louie. No, that wasn't anything. So anyway, jumping to 2018, and so he's still been touring that whole time, but sadly, his health issues got even worse. In January of that year, his other ear went, and brutally, it happened on his way to the stage, going to perform with the News. Like, he's literally walking out to play, and he's hoping he's just sort of shake it off. According to an interview with Andy Green, he said he hoped things would improve once he got on the stage, but when the band kicked into the opening song, the sound only got worse, saying, I thought the bass amp had blown a speaker. I just heard this horrible noise and I couldn't find pitch or even hear myself. It was an absolute nightmare. Oh. The worst thing, just horrible. So he was super depressed, like lowest ebb for a while. He went to every specialist, tried every treatment, all sorts of different things, diets, and, tried anything. But yeah, nothing helped, and he was absolutely shattered. And of course, the symptoms are pretty debilitating in one ear, but now he's got it in both.
Yeah.
The vertigo, the tinnitus, and all the rest. But Green writes, with the help of his children, he had a couple of kids, by the way, and close friends, he slowly pulled himself out of his misery, saying, it turns out you can get used to almost anything. He has said that his kids, his relationship with his kids is really strong. He felt like, though he loved his parents, it felt like they parented him up till he was about 12 or 13.
Yeah. So and they were like, you're on your own.
Yeah, whereas he's like maintained a really close relationship with them. He's like, they're my best friends and stuff like that, which I don't know. Depending on the day, I think Jess would either think is real cool or real lame.
It's pretty lame.
Yeah. It's that day.
Try again tomorrow, Huey.
He also realised his condition was even more complicated than he originally thought. Some days he was essentially deaf, but other days he heard well enough to engage in conversations. He created a scale of 1 to 10 to explain it to others. 10 is what he'll never get to again. That's what he was before it first happened. And then he's like, a 5, I can hear speech fine with hearing aids. Under a 3, I can't even hear the phone ring. But he's just not able to sing anymore. So he's basically had to retire from the music biz, which is so brutal. Yeah, because listening to he can listen to conversation, but music is just impossible because there's different harmonics, overtones, undertones. Like you might hear the bass going bump, 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 but I just hear crunchy static.
Yeah, wow.
He says, I fight for pitch and I can't find it. If I can't find pitch, I can't sing. It's horrible. The timing of this was particularly cruel because when it happened, him and the band were working on their first album of original songs since 2001's Plan B. So they're working on like 17 years or something.
Yeah, wow.
But luckily they had recorded 7 songs prior to 2018 and were able to release that as the band's final album in 2020. The album was called Weather. See what they've done there? The band's called The News. Their big album's called Sports. Final album's Weather. New Sport Weather.
That's great.
That's good stuff.
Just a bit of fun.
Ask me what I think of that today.
What do you think of that today?
Love it.
Don't ask it tomorrow.
Don't ask
It's not even day to day. It's minute to minute.
Yeah, I'm exciting, is what I'm hearing.
And finally, the last thing I'll talk about, because he is back in the news. Oh my God, I didn't mean that. And
but not the weather.
Because he's just launched or helped launch a Broadway jukebox musical called The Heart of Rock and Roll, which is inspired by the chart-topping anthems of Huey Lewis and the News.
Ah.
Apparently, the story sounds so weird. The story revolves around a failed rocker who winds up having to choose between a resurrected music career and an executive job at a cardboard company.
This sounds like one of your questions from Who Knew It with Matt Stewart, and that is a fake movie title.
That should be a question.
What is the
plot of?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Instead of a movie, do a Broadway musical.
I'll try and record this. I'll record the next Who Knew It before this comes out. So because all guest listeners do go on.
Yeah, of course, that'll ruin it. So he can have a great rock career or work at the cardboard shop.
Yeah, and I
What's
won't
it
spoil
gonna
it. I'm not going to spoil it. Okay. The opening night was a star-studded affair. Martin Short was there, Michael J. Fox, and the surviving members of the News. According to the
how many Doobie Brothers?
Oh, I think probably a lot. The extended Doobie family.
Wow.
According to the Rolling Stone, the Lewis Renaissance doesn't end there either. 2 of his songs, The Power of Love and Back in Time, are also part of the current hit Broadway show based on the Back to the Future film franchise. And for pop culture nostalgists, like I was talking about before, one of the must-see docs of the year is The Greatest Night in Pop, about the recording of the 1985 charity single We Are the World. And he's one of the handful of talking heads who talk about it in the current day.
That's cool.
Just a final paragraph here. Asked by a journalist how he's learnt to deal with his health issues, he replied, "Well, I deal with them as best as you can. You remind yourself there are a lot of people out there much worse off than I am. I have 2 great children who won't let me feel sorry for myself, and the musical has been a huge therapy for me."
Oh, that's nice.
It's sort of, yeah. It's a real roller coaster of a story. It's an amazing life.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Some pretty hectic hardships
Yep.
throughout, but he just seemed like, I mean, obviously he's had his ups and downs. That's also a lyric from one of his songs.
Wow. They've
had their ins and outs. Do you think the people who started listening to this because I did a Pantera episode are going to be thinking I'm pretty sick right now?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. His life is way more complicated and like
very interesting,
cool than you would probably think.
Totally.
Yes, and on and off. There've probably almost been a punchline, and they still don't really get proper respect in the music business. Like, because it's pretty easy in the end to write an album full of hit songs.
Everyone's done it. So,
I mean, if you wanted to, you have.
Yeah, if that's what you were, if you wanted like commercial success from your music and you wanted to write a bunch of songs that lots of people like.
Yeah, and if you wanted to be the most famous and liked person in America at one time.
Then obviously anybody could do it.
Isn't it so funny? Like, easy, but we're talking about art, man.
Yeah. They're just following a formula.
But yeah, he was like really put in the years
That's
of
right.
touring, recording, grinding it out.
And also played on so many cool
Yeah.
bands' work as well. And they obviously like working with him. I think he seems like he's just a guy that would be great to hang out with and whatnot.
Just a great hang.
Great hang. I think that's the other part of the Q test. Yeah. What kind of hang would they be?
Would you want to hang with them?
I want to hang with Hanksy.
Do you?
Hang with Hanks?
Yeah, you don't want to hang with Hanks?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He seems all right, I guess.
That's what they're going for. Who's the most all right person in America right now? Oh, that's great. Oh, because, over the years, Matt and I have spoke a little bit, joked about Hugh Gregg III. So I'm
It's
glad
just such a fun name.
It's a great
I mean,
name.
that was the in. I'm like,
Yes.
I want to know more about
Yeah.
Hugh. But also his life is so, like, you hear the name Hugh Gregg III, you know about the peak of Huey Lewis in the news, and you go, and prep school?
Yes, you think...
And you draw a straight line through all of that, and you think this guy was just a pretentious sort of rich kid.
Exactly. Always had everything you wanted.
Yeah.
Never really
No hardship.
done anything interesting.
Yeah.
And then you look into him and you're like, whoa, that's a cool life.
Yeah. And if people want to hear more, we did do an episode of Listen Now, our least listened to Do Go On podcast, about
That's how we rank them.
about the album Sports. I did with my cousin Sam Tongan. So yeah, I think it was the first episode of season 2. So yeah, season 2, episode 1. If you want to hear us, we go through track by track, and I can't remember what we say, but I imagine I'd say some of these things, and I say how much I love him.
I love
you, Huey. I love you, Huey.
I love you.
Love you, Huey.
What a guy.
Dave, you've got to I think get out of my sight because I can't. I can't right now.
I've done so many podcasts today that you've had enough. You've
Yes.
had your fill of Dave Warnocky.
Yeah, is that all right if you go? Because I just want me and Jess to do everyone's favourite section of the show.
Yeah, because Jess and I, we recently did it together with just the two of us. And sometimes it's nice to just have a bit of one-on-one time with your friend. And I get that I've been asked to fuck off.
Yeah.
So,
Politely.
yeah, politely. So I won't be here for the Patreon section, but I do want the Patreon people to know that I love them.
That's nice.
Does that go for everyone I'm going to mention?
Yes, all of them in advance.
Okay. You're going to regret that.
And you'll never guess what band I've booked for the Triptych Club.
Oh, do you want to slide a piece of paper over
Yeah, I'll
and
slide it over to you. Oh, well, and
Oh
you can
my
announce
God.
it at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
perfect.
moly. Really?
Yes, we got them.
That is big. Based on what I've just said about how someone can't play music anymore, this
Can you believe
is
it?
big.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you, and farewell.
Anything you want to plug before you go?
Yeah, just listen to my podcast. Do go on. Sometimes I'm on the whole episode. Other times I get asked to leave.
No, Dave's got to go to work. I promised that this episode wouldn't go as long as this, but in the end, it did.
But we've had a lot of fun today. We've had a lot of fun.
We've had our ups and downs. Yes, we've had our ins and outs. I wish I knew some more of the lyrics. My dad used to just he'd go through the JB Hi-Fi discount bins, and he'd bring home best of albums. So as a kid, he brought home the best of Huey Lewis at one point, and a few times just became obsessed with that album. Also, it's fun.
It just had every track from Sports on it.
It was pretty sports heavy, Sports and 4. But yeah, it was also like another classic. I think there was some funny line he said at some point, like self-deprecating as well. He's like something about like the Rolling. Yeah, he said because Rolling Stone never really liked him. They'd give him bad reviews and stuff. He said, "I think we were Rolling Stone's favorite band since Toto," which Dad also had the best of. But he also had like Neil Young and cool stuff as well. I promise. All right, Dave, fuck off, please.
I'm trying to get out of here.
You just do it. We'll start. Hey, Jess, are you ready for everyone's favorite part of the show?
Yes.
This is where we thank a few of our great Patreon supporters. If you want to get involved, go to patreon.com/dogoonpod. You get all sorts of things. You get to vote on episodes. My very next topic will be voted on by the great Patreon supporters. Votes. What else? You get tickets, access early, you get discount codes, all these sorts of things. But if you're on the Sydney Scheinberg level, you get to give us a thing called a fact, quote, or question, which actually has a jingle goes something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
Dave. Ding! Oh, he just snuck in the ding.
Yeah.
Which he never forgets. And Jess always remembers the sing. The way this works is people on the Sydney Scheinberg level get to give us a fact, a quote, or a question, or a brag or a suggestion, and I read them out. I've just got a couple in today. I guess. Yeah. people who are on that level, feel free to get them in because
We've
we're
run
running
out.
we're running a little low. So, but we'll get through a couple today. First one comes from, see Dave, the first one comes from Daniel Headley, aka, you also get to give yourself a title, Director of Detector Inspector Introspection Reflection on whether Detector Inspector is really fucking necessary. Why are they always coming back to my house? Fuck. Wow, let's control that one early. And we got a question here. Why do these stranger men keep coming into my house for 5 minutes every 6 months to press a button on my smoke alarms?
Yeah.
I can do that. Leave me alone. A detector inspector's a thing, or just an Australian thing. They make me irrationally annoyed. What's something that makes you irrationally annoyed or angry? Is that? I've never heard of that. Is that
You haven't had any. You haven't had detector inspector come to your house.
No.
It's the property manager sends them out probably twice a year,
I've never had that.
and they just come. They bring their little ladder. We only have one smoke detector in our entire apartment because it's small, and they bring it in, they check it, and they leave.
I wonder if I'm just not home when they do it or something.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I've lived in so many houses over the years, and it's never happened. You know, I'm quite an old man.
I know, but I'm saying like
It's never happened.
the property manager would let you know.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it hasn't happened.
Yeah, I wonder why. Maybe it only happens in affluent suburbs.
That has to be it.
That must be it. Nanny state, but
'cause of our
only
money.
in the east. Yeah. Yeah. What? Anything? I mean,
So many things.
Anything irrationally annoy you?
So many things.
Is one of them someone doing a half hour longer on their report than they said they would?
No, I just don't feel well.
Daniel, that is a fantastic question, and you got me on that tongue twister.
Yeah, that was a good
Bridget.
one.
Irrationally, I think I don't like it when people don't indicate to change lanes.
Oh my god, yeah. I hate it when people stop in the middle of a footpath to text.
Oh yeah.
Pull over.
Or you have a group of people who just spread,
Oh, fuck you.
covering the whole.
I've started to loudly complain about that.
Oh really?
Like real passive aggressive. It's bullshit. It's awful.
Yeah.
It happened the other day. I was walking along and there was a group of four abreast.
You can't be four abreast.
I was like, why am I going single file? Move the fuck over.
And this isn't like cyclists. I get it because they're trying to protect each other from cars knocking them down. But when it's walkers v walkers,
Move over.
bunch up.
Shut the fuck up. I hate you.
The people on each wing
Go behind.
can't talk to each other. So is there any point for being? You'd be better off.
The point is just being an asshole.
Bad people.
Bad people.
Yeah. So maybe that's.
Yeah, it probably answers your question, I guess.
Only problem you said irrational. I think that's quite rational.
No, I get, but the level of anger I get to is not. It's not justified.
Okay. The second and final one this week comes from Mr. Justin McCain. Belays the silly game. And his title is Insert Matt Singing Here. Interesting title.
Justin has your number, doesn't he?
And Justin's asking a question, writing, if you could eat one entree only for the rest of the time, what would it be? For me, it would be a cheese pizza.
Oh,
Entree.
never thought of a cheese pizza as an entree.
Yeah, I don't know what. I guess a garlic pizza, like a little garlic bread, garlic pizza, cheese pizza.
I'd have that for sure.
Yeah.
Great answer, Justin.
How far can you stretch entree? Could I just have assorted cheeses?
Yeah, maybe a charcuterie
Oh my god, can I have a charcuterie?
for entree every time. Yeah, I'd go like a garlic bread or like a garlic pizza type thing. Yeah, that's always going to hit the spot.
What else? Yeah, can't think of what else would you have. Soup?
No, I'm not having soup.
Not in this kitchen that we're in.
No.
It's too hot.
I've got a guy's coming to look at it, but it's not looking good.
Oh my god. Do you have the
Detector inspector?
The soup detector inspector?
Yeah, the soup detector inspector's coming and he's going to be very mad at me because this soup is far too hot.
All right, I think we're all happy to just share the cheese pizza with you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine by me. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for ordering for the table. I love that.
Thank you so much,
Takes the pressure
Mr.
off.
Justin McCain. And Daniel Headley. The next thing we like to do is shout out to a few of our other supporters. That accent changed. And
I liked it.
yeah, was sort of South African, but also that
Bit French.
Bit French. A bit, almost en français.
Yeah.
So the way this works, Jess, you normally come up with a bit of a game?
Yeah, I think we are obviously naming their band.
So it's the someone's and the somethings.
Yeah.
Great.
You understand the format.
I reckon just for efficiency,
Yes.
do you want to either read names or give band names?
I'll read names.
Okay.
My brain's working pretty slow.
Great. I'll just say, because I think this suits me well.
Yes.
Very quick mind. I'll just, smash through whatever comes to mind.
All right, great. Let's give it a go a couple of times, and if you need it, we can get up the horse name generator.
Okay, great.
Okay, so first and foremost, would love to thank from Laylaw Park in New South Wales, Jack Townsend and the
Gongs.
Love it. Okay, yeah, we can smash through these. All right, great.
Jack Townsend, thank you so much for your support. And your band, the Gongs, who support you.
From Wantirna South in Victoria, where I grew up as a child.
Ooh.
Mitchell Wooton.
And the Dim Sims.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, Mitchell Wooton and the Dim Sims.
Yeah, also good at entree, maybe.
That's fun.
Cheers, Mitchell.
From Virginia Beach in, I assume, Virginia, VA, it's Teacup Tofu and the...
Pebbles.
Oh, that's cute.
I don't mind that. I think
Teacup Tofu and the Pebbles.
Yeah.
That's cute as
That's
shit.
real good.
Love
Teacup
that.
Tofu.
Yeah. And their fans could call themselves Pebbleheads.
Yeah. We're Pebbleheads.
That's really cute.
We love Teacup Tofu.
I follow Teacup Tofu and the Pebbleheads and the Pebbles around on their national tour. Next, from Slidell in Los Angeles. No, LA.
Louisiana?
Louisiana, yeah, it's got to be. I was like, no, Los Angeles is a place. From Slidell or Slidell, Josh Fay.
And the Fallen Leaves.
Oh, that's poetic. That's nice. I like that one very much. From Warwick in Great Britain, it's Hannah Albone.
And the Greeks.
Hannah Albone and the Greeks. That's sick. Good stuff. Okay, from Wentworth Falls in New South Wales, Hayley, Zena, Poynton, and the...
Jailbirds.
Oh, you are so good at this. Like, we were joking that you were going to be dog shit because sometimes you have to think of a word and you go, oh boy, good boy. But you were doing really well.
Yeah, it's been strange.
You're closing your eyes, they're just coming to you.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh my God. Okay, a few more. From Silver Spring in MD, is that Maryland? No.
Yeah, we do this all the time. I
every
think
time.
it is Maryland. Yeah.
I'll look that up in a sec. It's Tyler Robertson and the...
Icebergs.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Very good stuff. Maryland is correct. Okay. Next we have from Camperdown in New South Wales, Brenna Dowling and the...
Refreshing drinks.
Oh my God. I mean, he just took a sip, so that one felt a little more in the room, but that's not bad. And finally from Dallas, Texas, Marissa Kurtz and the...
Mystery Gunman.
Oh! No bullshit. That was impressive. That was really impressive.
Thank you so much to Marissa, Brenna, Tyler, Haley, Hannah, Josh, Teacup, Mitchell, and Jack. And the last thing we need to do, Bob, Another thing we need to do is welcome in a few new members of the Triptych Club. Actually, 3 members to the Triptych Club.
Wow.
So
that's fitting.
Yeah, this works really well. You're behind the bar.
Yeah.
Have you got any drinks on? Or
I've got a drink special. It's a cocktail. It's called Huey Lewis and the Blue. And it's just all blue stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Blue Caracao, however you say it. And
isn't Blue
lemonade.
Caracao's in that she's an actor in The Big Bang Theory. Is that right?
Kaylee Cuoco.
Oh, yeah, close.
Blue Caracao. Yes,
but it was
correct.
worth the long run up.
And she works at the Cheesecake Factory and that. And they serve drinks.
Right. My brain is back to normal speed.
Yeah. I figured. But that was a beautiful run, and we got it recorded for posterity.
Oh my God.
So,
and it was the day that I got tripped up by the tongue twister too.
yeah.
So, God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he?
And Dave told you...
Or she.
Dave told you the band he booked.
Yeah.
He wouldn't show me the piece of paper, so...
It was wild. Clover.
No fucking
Yeah.
way.
But I'd already said Huey can't play harmonica anymore, so I just don't know
What are the chances?
if they'll sound.
Sure, but we've had dead people play, so I reckon he's going to be able to play.
And they're being actually headlined by Huey Lewis and the News.
No way.
So he's pulling double shift.
Dave, what the fuck? How does he do it?
And Thin Lizzy with Huey Lewis.
No.
Bluesy Huey Lewis.
Oh my God, this is too much.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get way more blue Caracao. People are going to be going crazy.
Jimmy Barnes is playing with Huey Lewis as a support.
Nah, that's crazy.
And also that guy who said, "That's just the way it is." Diddle-in, diddle-in,
Diddle-in.
diddle-in.
Did we explain what the Tribute Club is?
No, it's where you tell them.
Where people who have supported us for 3 consecutive years are welcomed into the club. It's a special, exclusive, really fun club. As we mentioned, there's a band, there's drinks and food and anything you can possibly imagine. The air hockey is off limits. That's for me. And Matt is at the door. He lifts up the velvet rope. He welcomes you in. Normally Dave hypes them up. I then hype Dave up. How are we going to do it this week?
How do you feel? You want to play the Dave role? Or do you want to play the me role?
I'd like to play the you role.
All right, you play the me role. I'll play the Dave role. You play the you role.
Fantastic. Okay. So first and foremost, are you ready?
Yeah.
You'll be right. Even if you want to just give him band names this time, I think, because you're really on a roll with that. See how you go. From London, please welcome in Tina.
Tina, I wouldn't turn you around. You come right on in. London, have a grundon. I went for too much Nata.
Come right London in.
London in.
Yes. From Bristol, also in Great Britain, I would love to bring in Anna Wang.
Bristol, I will not be charging you any Bristols tonight.
Yes.
Anna Wang, Anna come hang.
Yes. Isn't that Phil Wang's sister? I believe it
believe
is. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna Wang.
For 3 years of beautiful support. We love you. And finally, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, please welcome in Nathan Swart.
I tell you what, if I had my option of changing you over, Nathan, I never would. Welcome in, Nathan Swap.
Thank you, Nathan, Anna, Tina. Welcome into the Tribute Club. Please make yourself at home. But again, do not touch my air hockey table. I
Yeah.
swear to fucking God, Nathan. Do not touch it.
The velvet rope is not just at the front door; it's also at the door for the ice hockey table.
Air hockey.
Oh no!
Have you put ice on it again?
Oh, I didn't realize.
Matt.
I'm like, the ice hockey table's thawed out again.
No, it's air hockey.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, you've ruined.
I'll scrape it off and make margaritas. What do you think?
Okay, now I'm back in.
Okay. Anything else we need to tell people before we go?
That they can suggest a topic. Anybody can do it over at, it's on our website, which is Do Go On Pod. There's also a link in the show notes. You can find us on social media at Do Go On Pod across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And finally, remember to wash your butt.
Oh, that is such great advice. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I recently smuggled some butter in mine. It's a cross-pod callback that's probably in the future.
It's been a long day.
Okay.
But until next week, I'll say thank you and goodbye.
Laters.
Bye.
Oh. Laters. Cursed Mike.